"You're riding with us now, kid, whether you like it or not," said the Bandidos enforcer, grabbing 14-year-old Miguel's arm outside his school. The boy had just witnessed something he shouldn't have, a drug deal in the parking lot. And now the Bandidos wanted to ensure his silence the only way they knew how. Make him one of them. But Miguel's older brother had made one phone call that would turn this recruitment attempt into the biggest mistake the Bandidos ever made. He called the Mongols, but to understand why this moment sparked a war between two of America's most notorious motorcycle clubs, we need to go back 3 weeks. Miguel Rodriguez was a good kid living in a bad situation. His father had died in a construction accident when Miguel was 9. His mother, Maria, worked 2 jobs: morning shift at a hospital cafeteria, evening shift cleaning offices. His older brother, Carlos, was 22 and worked at an auto body shop. They lived in Laredo, Texas, right on the border. It was Bandidos territory. Had been for 30 years. The Bandidos controlled everything in that part of Texas. The bars, the strip clubs, the drug distribution networks, the protection rackets. Local police knew better than to interfere too much. Some officers were even on the payroll. Miguel was smart. Straight-A student despite everything. He wanted to be an engineer, build bridges like his father once did. His guidance counselor said he had a real shot at a scholarship to Texas A&M. But being smart in the wrong neighborhood can be dangerous. It was a Wednesday afternoon. Miguel stayed late at school for math club. He was walking through the parking lot when he saw 3 men standing beside a black pickup truck. One of them was wearing a leather vest with the distinctive Bandidos patch, a Mexican bandit with a machete and pistol. Miguel knew to keep walking. Don't look. Don't stop. Don't acknowledge. But then he heard the scream. A girl's scream coming from inside the truck. Miguel froze. Every instinct told him to run. But the scream came again, desperate and terrified. He pulled out his phone and started recording, hiding behind a car. Through his phone screen, he watched as they dragged a teenage girl from the truck. She was fighting, trying to scream, but one of them put a hand over her mouth. Miguel recognized her, Sofia Martinez, a 16-year-old from his neighborhood who disappeared 2 weeks ago. The Bandidos member pulled out a package and showed it to the girl, saying something Miguel couldn't hear. Then he injected her with something. Sofia went limp immediately. Miguel's hands were shaking so badly he almost dropped his phone. But he kept recording. They put Sofia back in the truck and drove away. Miguel ran. He ran all the way home, 3 miles, didn't stop until he burst through his apartment door. Carlos was home early. One look at his little brother's face, and he knew something was terribly wrong. What happened? Miguel told him everything. Showed him the video. Carlos watched it twice, his face getting darker with each viewing. "You need to delete this," Carlos said. "What?" "No. We have to go to the police. They kidnapped Sofia." "Miguel, those are Bandidos. You go to the police with this. Half of them work for the club. They'll know it was you within an hour." "So we do nothing?" Miguel's voice cracked. "Sofia is being hurt right now." Carlos grabbed his brother by the shoulders. "Listen to me carefully. The Bandidos own this town. You understand? They own it. We can't fight them. Nobody can." But Miguel had already made a mistake. He'd posted about Sofia's disappearance on social media 2 weeks earlier, asking if anyone had seen her. The Bandidos had people who monitored that stuff. The next day at school, Miguel was called to the principal's office. Principal Hernandez was a nervous man in his 50s, who looked like he hadn't slept in days. "Miguel, I need to ask you something. Have you been spreading rumors about Sofia Martinez? She's missing." "That's not a rumor. The police investigated. They say she ran away." "That's a lie," Miguel said. "I saw—" "Careful," Hernandez interrupted, his voice dropping to a whisper. "You need to be very careful what you say you saw." Miguel stared at him. You know what they're doing." Hernandez looked away. "I know that good kids who ask too many questions end up disappearing too." Go home, Miguel. Forget about Sofia Martinez. Miguel left the office feeling sick. That afternoon, 3 bandidos were waiting outside the school when classes ended. Miguel saw them and tried to go back inside, but the doors had already locked automatically. The biggest one stepped forward. His vest said Diablo on the name patch. His arms were covered in prison tattoos. Miguel Rodriguez, we need to talk. I don't know you, Miguel said, backing away. But we know you. Smart kid, good grades, asks lots of questions. Diablo smiled, but it wasn't friendly. We also know you were in the parking lot yesterday. Saw something you shouldn't have? Miguel's blood went cold. I didn't see anything. That's good, Diablo said. Because if you did see something, and if you told anyone, or recorded anything, that would be a big problem. For you and your family. Another Bandidos member, younger with Razor on his patch, pulled out his phone and showed Miguel a photo. It was his mother leaving the hospital. Pretty lady, works 2 jobs, real hard worker. Razor's voice was casual, almost friendly. Be a shame if something happened to her. Miguel felt tears burning his eyes but refused to let them fall. What do you want? Smart question, Diablo said. Here's how this works. You saw something. That means you're either with us or against us. There's no middle ground. I'm just a kid. I want nothing to do with you. Too late for that. Diablo grabbed Miguel's arm. You're riding with us now, kid, whether you like it or not. You join the Bandidos. You stay quiet about what you saw, and your family stays safe. You refuse? He shrugged. Bad things happen. I need to think about it, Miguel whispered. You got 24 hours, Diablo released him. Tomorrow after school, you meet us here. You're either wearing our support gear, or your mama is gonna have a very bad accident at work. They left Miguel standing there shaking. He went home and told Carlos everything. Carlos paced the apartment like a caged animal. They're forcing you to join. If you join, you're in for life. They'll make you do things, terrible things. But if you don't join, they'll hurt Mom, Miguel finished. Maria came home from her first shift and immediately knew something was wrong. They told her everything. She started crying silently, the way mothers do when they're trying to be strong for their children, but their world is falling apart. We leave, she said finally. Night. We pack everything, and we go. Where? Carlos asked. They have reach all over Texas. We can't just disappear. Then we go to the police. Mom, half the cops in Laredo work for them. Then what? Maria's voice broke. What do we do? That's when Carlos remembered something. 6 months ago, he'd done repair work on a motorcycle at the shop. Custom job, beautiful bike. Took him 3 weeks. The owner was a guy named Crow. Big, scary looking, covered in tattoos. But he'd been respectful, paid in cash, even tipped Carlos an extra $200. The bike had Mongols patches. Carlos had heard the stories. The Mongols and Bandidos had been rivals for decades. Violent rivals. They didn't just dislike each other. They hated each other with a passion that had left bodies across 3 states. I might know someone, Carlos said quietly. He pulled out his phone and scrolled through his contacts. He'd saved Crow's number in case there were any issues with the bike. His finger hovered over the call button. Was he really about to contact the Mongols? That could start a war. People could die. But then he looked at his little brother, terrified and trapped. He looked at his mother, broken and helpless. He pressed call. The phone rang 4 times before a rough voice answered. Yeah. Is this Crow? Who's asking? Carlos Rodriguez. I worked on your bike 6 months ago. Custom Harley, blue and chrome. I remember. What do you want? I need help. The Bandidos are trying to force my 14-year-old brother to join their club. There was a long pause. Tell me everything. Carlos told him about Sofia, about the video, about the threats. He sent Crow the recording Miguel had taken. When he finished, Crow was silent for so long Carlos thought he'd hung up. You still there? Carlos asked. Yeah. I'm thinking. Another pause. The Bandidos have been untouchable in Laredo for too long. Getting too comfortable, too bold. Recruiting kids now? His voice hardened. That's a line they shouldn't have crossed. Can you help us? I can do better than help. I can end this. But Carlos, you need to understand what you're asking. If the Mongols come to Laredo, there's going to be trouble. Real trouble. My brother's life is on the line. Then we'll save him. But it's not going to be quiet, and it's not going to be pretty. You good with that? Carlos looked at Miguel, his little brother who wanted to build bridges and go to college and have a normal life. The kid who'd never hurt anyone, never done anything wrong except be in the wrong place at the wrong time. I'm good with it. Okay. Here's what's going to happen. Tomorrow, Miguel goes to school like normal. When those bandidos show up, you call me immediately. We'll handle the rest. What are you going to do? What we do best, Crow said. We're going to remind the bandidos that Texas isn't just their territory, and we're going to make sure they never threaten a child again. He hung up. Carlos looked at his family. We got help coming. From who? Maria asked. The Mongols. Maria's face went pale. Carlos, the Mongols are as dangerous as the bandidos. But they don't hurt kids, Carlos said. And right now, that's the only thing that matters. The next day felt like the longest of Miguel's life. He went to school, sat through classes, but couldn't focus on anything. His math teacher asked if he was feeling okay. He just nodded and stared at his desk. When the final bell rang, Miguel's heart started pounding. He walked slowly to the front of the school. The 3 bandidos were already there. Diablo, Razor, and a third one Miguel didn't recognize. Diablo held up a black t-shirt with Support 81 printed on it, code for Hell's Angels support. But Bandidos used similar gear. Put this on. I can't, Miguel whispered. Diablo's friendly expression vanished. Wrong answer, kid. He grabbed Miguel by the shirt and dragged him toward the parking lot. Miguel tried to pull away, but Diablo was too strong. That's when Carlos appeared, phone already to his ear. They're here. They're taking him. 2 minutes, Crow's voice said. Keep them there for 2 minutes. Hey, Carlos shouted. Let him go. Diablo turned, annoyed. This doesn't concern you. That's my brother. Not anymore. He's ours now. Diablo shoved Miguel toward Razor. Get him on the bike. Carlos ran forward and grabbed Miguel. You're not taking him anywhere. Diablo pulled a knife. You want to die protecting him? Fine by me. That's when they heard it. The sound started as a distant rumble, like thunder approaching. But it didn't fade. It got louder. And louder. Everyone stopped and turned toward the sound. 20 motorcycles came around the corner in tight formation. Every single rider wore the Mongols patch. The bandidos' faces went from confident to shocked in seconds. The Mongols spread out, surrounding the school parking lot. More bikes kept coming. 30, 40, 50. This wasn't just a few members. This was a full chapter, maybe more. Crow dismounted and walked slowly toward the group. Behind him, 49 Mongols waited in silence. Diablo, Crow said calmly. I hear you've been recruiting middle school kids now. Diablo tried to recover his tough guy attitude. This ain't your territory, Mongol. Turn around and ride back where you came from. Can't do that, Crow said. See, this boy is under our protection now, him and his family. You're gonna start a war over some kid? If that's what it takes. Crow stepped closer. But let me offer you a better option. You walk away right now. You tell your bosses that Laredo isn't Bandidos' only territory anymore, and nobody gets hurt today. Razor spoke up. There's 3 of us and 50 of you. That ain't a fair fight. No, it isn't, Crow agreed. But you're the ones who decided to threaten a child. Fair stopped being a consideration the moment you did that. Diablo looked at the wall of Mongols surrounding them. He was outnumbered almost 20 to 1. His knife suddenly seemed very small and useless. This ain't over, he said, trying to save face. Actually, it is, Crow said. Miguel Rodriguez is off limits. His brother is off limits. His mother is off limits. You touch any of them, You answer to us. Our chapter president ain't gonna like this. Then have him call me. Crow pulled out a card and flicked it at Diablo's feet. We'll discuss it man to man. The three bandidos got on their bikes and rode away, outnumbered and outgunned. Miguel was shaking. Carlos put an arm around his little brother's shoulders. Crow turned to them. You okay, kid? Miguel nodded, not trusting his voice. What about Sofia? Carlos asked. The girl in the video. Can you help her too? Crow's face darkened. We're working on that. But first, we need to make sure your family is safe. Over the next 3 days, something remarkable happened. The Mongols didn't leave Laredo. They stayed. They set up temporary headquarters at a motel on the edge of town. They rode through the streets in formation, making their presence known. The bandidos were furious. Their president, a man called El Jefe, the boss, demanded a meeting. It happened at neutral ground, a dive bar halfway between Laredo and San Antonio. Both sides agreed. Presidents only. 2 members each for backup. No weapons inside. El Jefe was in his 60s, gray beard, arms covered in faded tattoos. He'd built the Bandidos Texas empire over 40 years. Crow brought 2 senior members. They sat across from El Jefe and his enforcers. You got a lot of nerve coming into my territory, El Jefe said. Your territory, Crow replied calmly. Texas is bigger than any one club. Not this part. Laredo is mine. Has been since before you were probably born. Then you should have taken better care of it. Instead, you're forcing kids to join, trafficking teenage girls, corrupting cops. Crow leaned forward. You forgot what this life is supposed to be about. Don't lecture me about the life, Mongol. I was riding before you could walk. Then act like it, Crow said. Respect the community. Protect the weak. Live by a code. That's what clubs used to stand for. Now you're just gangsters with motorcycles. El Jefe's face reddened. You calling me a gangster? I'm saying you've lost your way. And we're going to remind you what it means to be a real motorcycle club. By doing what? Starting a war? If necessary, Crow said evenly. But I'm hoping you're smart enough to avoid that. Here's our offer. You stop forcing kids to join. You stop trafficking. You clean up your operation. Focus on what motorcycle clubs should focus on. Brotherhood, freedom, the ride. And if I don't, then every time one of your members breaks those rules, we'll be there. We'll make Laredo so hot for you that you won't be able to operate. We'll bring attention from law enforcement you don't want. We'll disrupt your business until it's no longer profitable. El Jefe studied Crow for a long moment. You really gonna war with us over some kid? That kid reminds me why I became a biker in the first place. To be free. To protect those who can't protect themselves. To mean something. Crow stood up. You've got 3 days to decide. After that, we take action. The Mongols left. El Jefe sat there stewing. 2 days later, the Bandidos made their move. But it wasn't the move anyone expected. Diablo and 5 other Bandidos showed up at Carlos's auto shop. Carlos saw them coming and grabbed a wrench, ready to defend himself. But Diablo held up his hands. We're not here to fight. Then why are you here? El Jefe sent us. He wants to talk to the Mongols about Sofia Martinez. What about her? We know where she is, and we're willing to give her back. Carlos didn't trust this. Why would you do that? Diablo looked uncomfortable. Because we're being investigated now. FBI showed up at our clubhouse yesterday, asking questions about trafficking. Someone sent them that video your brother took. We need this problem to go away before we all end up in federal prison. The Mongols had sent the video to the FBI. Smart move. An exchange was arranged. Neutral location. Mongols and Bandidos both present. FBI watching from a distance, ready to move in if things went wrong. Sofia Martinez was handed over to her parents. She was alive, but would need serious medical attention and therapy. She'd been held for 3 weeks, drugged and abused. Miguel watched from a distance as Sofia's mother collapsed in tears. holding her daughter. The bandidos, who'd been directly involved in the trafficking, were arrested. The FBI had enough evidence now to prosecute. Diablo wasn't among them. He'd played it smart and stayed on the edges of the operation. But his loyalty to the bandidos was shaken. A week later, something shocking happened. Diablo showed up at the Mongols' temporary clubhouse, alone. "I want out," he told Crow. "I want out of the bandidos." "Why are you telling me?" "Because if I just leave, they'll kill me. But if I'm under your protection..." Diablo looked at the ground. "I know I don't deserve it. I know what I did to that kid. But I'm tired of being a criminal. I want to be a biker again. A real one." Crow studied him. "You help us bring down the rest of the trafficking operation, give testimony to the FBI, and we'll consider it." Diablo did. His testimony led to 14 more arrests, including 2 local cops on the Bandidos' payroll. El Jefe himself was arrested on conspiracy charges. His 40-year empire crumbled in less than a month. The Bandidos' Laredo chapter fell apart. Some members went to prison. Others scattered to different states. A few, like Diablo, tried to rebuild their lives away from the criminal side of the motorcycle world. Miguel went back to school. He had nightmares for months, but with therapy and his family's support, he started to heal. Carlos kept working at the auto shop. The Mongols became regular customers, bringing their bikes for maintenance. Maria kept working her 2 jobs, but now she walked to and from work without fear. Several Mongols made it a point to ride past the hospital during her shifts, just checking in. Sofia Martinez spent 3 months in a rehabilitation facility. Her recovery was slow and painful, but she was alive and surrounded by people who loved her. 6 months later, Miguel's school held a special assembly. The Mongols had donated $10,000 to create a scholarship fund in Miguel's name for students who overcome adversity. Crow showed up to present the first scholarship check. Miguel was in the audience with his mother and brother. "This young man," Crow told the assembly, "showed more courage at 14 than most men show in their entire lives. He saw something wrong and tried to stop it, even though it put him in terrible danger. That's the kind of character we should all aspire to." After the assembly, Miguel approached Crow. "Thank you," Miguel said, "for everything. You saved my life." "You saved your own life, kid. You fought back when it would have been easier to stay silent. That takes guts." Crow handed Miguel something, a small metal pin shaped like a motorcycle. "This isn't a patch. You're not a member. But it's a symbol. It means you've got friends who've got your back. You ever need help, you call." Miguel looked at the pin. On the back, it was engraved. "Courage. What if I want to join someday?" Miguel asked. "When I'm older?" Crow smiled. "Then you finish school, get that engineering degree, build some bridges. If you still want to ride with us after that, we'll talk. But Miguel, we don't want you to be like us. We want you to be better than us. You understand?" Miguel nodded, tears in his eyes. "Good kid," Crow said. "Stay good." The Mongols left Laredo after 3 months. Their point had been made, but they kept their promise. Miguel and his family remained under protection. Whenever a Mongol passed through Laredo, they'd ride by the Rodriguez apartment, just checking in, just making sure. Miguel is in college now, studying civil engineering at Texas A&M on a full scholarship. He's building bridges, just like he dreamed. He keeps that pin on his keychain. A reminder that sometimes the scariest-looking people turn out to be heroes. Sometimes family isn't about blood or patches. It's about standing up for what's right even when it's dangerous. And sometimes, all it takes to change everything is one scared kid with a phone camera, one loyal brother with a phone number, and 50 bikers willing to ride into hell for a child they'd never met. The Bandidos learned a hard lesson. You can control territory, you can control business, but you can't control honor. And when you lose your honor, you lose everything else. The Mongols learned something too, that their patch meant more when they used it to protect the innocent than when they used it to intimidate their enemies. As for Miguel, he learned that courage isn't about being unafraid. It's about doing the right thing, even when you're terrified. And that lesson was worth more than any scholarship, any degree, or any achievement he would ever earn. Sometimes the most dangerous men become the best teachers. And sometimes, a 14-year-old boy with a phone camera changes the entire balance of power between two of America's most notorious motorcycle clubs.